So who is Bloom Consulting? Well, I kicked this off in 2000 as a sole proprietor here in the state of Florida, America, and it was intended for side projects, which I've done several over the years. I know that today there's the culture of, the side hustle. Well, I was doing this back in 2000 before it was a thing. And the other thing is that I also use it to learn new technology. So technology springs its head every 10 minutes. And in order to keep up, I would use this platform to research, learn, and disseminate that information. So today I just want to announce that we're reactivating the Bloom Consulting to find project work and to learn new technologies. So our core mission statement hasn't changed over the years. And I'm going to blob instead of blog about technology, specifically in the area of data governance with Microsoft Purview, as well as the Prophecy, which I'm very intimate with, understanding and selling and delivering, and especially the Azure data ecosystem. Because I've been focusing my entire career on Microsoft, and the current state is the Azure. And then I wrote that course in 2015-16 on Azure when it first arrived, and that was the classic portal along with the new one. But anyway, I've been keeping tabs and working in this ecosystem for many years now, and I want to use this platform to disseminate that information. And obviously Prophecy, which is an MDM vendor, which I've worked with most recently. So I just want to go through the last 3 employers, which I couldn't tell you the dates, but it's around 15, 16 or something. I can't remember. I'd have to look at the resume. But I work for a company in Indianapolis called Allegiant, a consulting firm. And I was a senior consultant when I got there. What did I do? I worked on the SQL projects, MDS, which is Master Data Services, and Data Quality Services. I actually used that since 2012, I believe. And that actually became Prophecy. The same folks who wrote that also, they originally created the MDS and the DQS, and it went on to become the Prophecy. I just want to make sure that we're recording here. Yep, sure enough. How about that? Okay, so onward and upward. What did I do at Allegiant? Well, I worked on SQL projects, the MDS, the DQS, the data warehousing, the parallel data warehousing, and Tableau, and a bunch of other stuff. I worked for major insurance clients there in Indianapolis, big banks, pharma, hospital, university. And although I was shuffled around a bit, I did get the lead consultant position before departing for another company. So I just wanted to mention that you can see that Allegiant was acquired by DMI. So that was an acquisition, and that's the first of many. Well, there's been a lot in the past as well, but that of these 3, that was the first acquisition. And then I got a call from Pragmatic Works and got hired over there as a principal consultant. So it was a kind of a bump in everything. And when I got there, I worked on a variety of projects, SQL projects, Power BI, SSRS, data warehousing, public, and internal webinars. So first off, I was the Databricks liaison. So that meant I met with the Databricks folks and figured out the path on how to get our people trained so we could sell projects. And then of the projects that were in flight, I would speak with them on the consumption units and look for opportunities to expand our footprint. I worked for power company, retail, attorney, auto body repair. That was a good one because they brought in everyone, like 15 different people, including Microsoft and a bunch of others, and they couldn't solve the problem, which was they were receiving these inputs of data from the field, fixing these cars. They would receive information from their sensors, and the SQL Server couldn't handle the speed. And I interrogated all sorts of options. I actually came up with a solution using CTEs, which actually solved the problem. It solved it on the SQL side. So using the Azure didn't solve it, but the SQL did. So I think they eventually used Google. We lost the compete, but essentially I solved the problem on that side where I don't think anyone else was able to. That was a good win, I thought. Healthcare, and then as a principal consultant, I worked on pre-sales for the first time which means you get commission for closing deals. And how do you close a deal? Well, you got to meet with a client, speak with them, find their pain points, and then draw up an estimate, timeline, schedule, resources, cost, statement of work, present it to the client. They agree, you sign it, and then you hand it off to delivery. So I really enjoyed the pre-sales side, and I worked with some major clients on that one. And then the other thing I want to mention on that one, I was the co-lead of the data community, which meant that we met every couple of weeks. We bring in people to chat on various subjects. We also got people certified, either bronze, silver, gold. Bronze said you've read it on Google. Silver meant that you've actually worked on it, and gold meant that you were SME, subject matter expert, and we could leverage your skills for pre-sales or what have you projects. And then, so let's back up. Pragmatic Works was acquired by 3Cloud, so that's the second acquisition out of 2. Okay, then I went to Neudesic. I worked in the East region, one of 5 or 6, and then we had the global services in India. And I also worked on SQL projects, Azure Data Platform, data governance, Power BI. So I worked for a bunch of large clients because we were acquired by IBM, so that's the third acquisition out of 3 in a row, and that opened up larger clients. So I work with these big clients, including Canadian insurance, shoe company in Denmark, chemical company, finance, transportation, rail card, environmental, and attorney, and a bunch of others. So here, through the support of my boss, I was promoted to solution architect for the first time, which is the biggest achievement of my career to date. So I also did the pre-sales. So you meet with the clients, you present your case, you close the deal, you get commission. And I really enjoyed the estimate portion of it, the project management side, as well as the team lead. So on these projects that I worked on, listed above, I was like, my job was to ensure success of the project, which meant overcome any obstacle, including scope creep, delays, issues with the code, the selection of architecture, the diagrams, a lot of obstacles to overcome on any project. I would say of the 12 projects that I worked on, every one was a home run. And I think that my name spoke for itself. If I worked on the project, it was going to be a success. So because I had the Databricks background as a liaison and the data community lead, a position opened up by chance for the data governance. So I said, hey, I think I'd like to do that. They said, okay. So because we had all these accelerators, which is one of the reasons I joined this firm, I worked with some folks, 2 people, to come up with a blueprint of how we want to design this and how it would fit in with the existing architecture accelerators. And I got to work. So I worked with the offshore team, the onshore team, and I created the project plan, and then we divvied up the tasks, and we would meet after hours. So in addition to billing your 32 or 40 hours mandatory, then we would start on the accelerator. The accelerator development lasted over a year, but there's a lot involved. And not only the code, I would say the code is about 25%, but then you also have to document it and come up with the PowerPoint decks, and you have to train the people so they can sell it across the 5 regions and the offshore. And then you have to get it into Azure Marketplace. So anytime you do that, you got to work with marketing to work with the Microsoft folks, and you have to have a checklist of items. And then once that's completed and everybody's happy, they push it into Azure Marketplace. I think it sells for $370K, including a year's. But anyway, that was my next major accomplishment because it was the first accelerator of the region to get pushed into the Azure Marketplace. And the work that I did, like in the DevOps, the board, and in the estimates, and in creating the project plan, was used as a blueprint across all the other 6 accelerators, I would say. So it kind of formed the blueprint. So it was a major achievement, and I can't thank the team enough for their support. on building that. Um, so the next thing I want to talk about is I did manage a team of 5 consultants. So you got your 40 hours, you have your innovation, you have your pre-sales, you have your interviews, and then you have to manage the team of 5 consultants. So I enjoyed speaking with them, watching their careers grow, try to get them promoted, form a blueprint path for them to achieve based on the checklist, in addition to other criteria to go from like consultant to senior to principal and solution architect eventually. The nice thing about this one was that we leveraged a tool called MDM Prophecy. It's a vendor. Like I said, they were original founders of MDS DQS, and I was also the liaison on that one. So anytime somebody wanted to be added to the thing, the portal, I would add them. I'd say we had over 100 something people. So I would get emails throughout the day to add people or submit a ticket or help them with the academy. There's 4 courses you can take, and I would, evangelize that and try to push them through. So I was the support rep and the Prophecy Academy liaison, as well as downloading the latest software, installing it in our 3 environments, the dev, the test, and the prod, um, and making sure that it works so that we can do our demos. So you can see I went from senior to lead to principal to solution architect over the course of about 5 or 6 years. And I'd have to say there were some tough, challenging projects, maybe 2 or 3 that were exceptionally difficult. One, I think we chose not to continue. The other one, which one was that? There were a bunch of scope creeps that we had to overcome. I would say where you sell the thing and then you hit the ground running and you look at the scope and what they are expecting, and it could be 2 or 3 times the size of your estimate. Now that poses problems because you have your set guidelines. That statement of work is a legal document, and you have to adhere to it. And when you increase the scope by 2 or 3 times, then you kind of have to negotiate a strategy to make sure that you're within compliance and the customer's happy. But I overcame all those problems, and like I said, the dozen projects that I worked on were all home runs.